Can we talk about you for a few moments?
No problem, mate, no problem.
So, what's your name?
Peter.
Peter, how old are you, Peter?
38 now, so 39 this year.
Okay. Peter, how long have you been out here on the streets?
Streets, it's hard to tell, maybe 5 to 6 years now I've been on the streets in Melbourne CBD.
5 to 6 years
Yeah,
in Melbourne?
Yeah, in the CBD.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how did you end up on the street?
Heaps of things, man. Like life got to me, life itself, and life's terms caught up with me, and I found that I was always working in really good kind of corporate jobs, but I was using too many drugs and whatnot on the weekends, and sort of it caught up with me after about 20 years worth of abuse to myself on the weekends. So
what was the job that you had?
Yeah, sure. So I was working in IT, so I was mainly predominantly in telephony, so telephone systems and whatnot. So that was a great job, but I started using at work, and I've never done that before.
So you were using
just
drugs at work?
Methamphetamine at work, yeah. I never used it at work in my life.
Wow.
So I had an idea to do it, and a month and a half later of using it at work, I had to resign from my job. I thought I'd be like the Wolf of Wall Street, but it was quite the opposite. So I left my job. And
when you say Peter, when you say you left your job, they found out about it, and
No, my boss went away for a couple of months. We went over to Greece and said, I want you to look after the show while I'm away. And that's what I was using. And when he got back, I just said, look, mate, this is what I've been doing at work. This is why my performance has been down in myself, and so I'm going to finish up. And he looked, that's not a bad idea. So left the corporate world and sort of hit the street. But,
did you have any option after you left work? Did you have any money saved up?
I had like a few dollars in my bank account. Not a huge amount, but enough. But I didn't have the drive in me anymore to go back to work. I sort of had 16 jobs from age 18 to 30. I had 16 jobs in my life, so I was just ruined within inside because I kept using it on the weekends, but drained me out when I go to work, and then mental health came into it. But homelessness, I recall my first night sleeping on the street, and I'll never forget that. It was on cobblestone down in Collingwood in a little laneway. With a bit of cardboard under me, and I'll never forget that cobblestone, what it feels like to sleep on. That's something that was sticking with me. It's just a real positive moving forward. Let go of that.
Well, where was this first encounter that you had sleeping on the street?
Yeah, so down in Collingwood, like Smith Street.
Right.
The laneways down there. So before that I was couch surfing with some friends, and that can be a blessing, but a negative in disguise, yeah.
What has been the level of support that you've gotten from friends and family?
Yeah, sure. So once I hit the street, my family sort of walked away from me, some of the youngest of 6 children. So I explained to them it was like a young Aboriginal man going walkabout to find out who he is and become a man. So they decided to turn their back on me from there. My dad came down to Melbourne, my first year of homelessness, and we had a 3-minute conversation. We said our goodbyes to each other. So I think I've seen a family member once or twice in 5 years, just walking past, and feel hello, and I'll keep walking. So it can be really tough, but me, within a person, I've grown more within myself, because my family isn't around sort of holding me back or putting things in place that will stop me doing things I want to do. So it sounds very, very harsh and very hard, but it's also a blessing in disguise as well.
So your family turned their back on you when they found out you were homeless and on drugs?
Yeah, they were just like, enough's enough. You're going to go do what you're going to do. You're a grown man now, and they really did. So, like I said, it was hard at the time, but I've learned to accept it and find a positive from it.
And tell me a bit more about the positives that you found.
Yes.
Most people, Peter, would find that difficult to understand, how being homeless, being on the street, can be a positive experience, but that's what you're saying?
Yeah, sure, yeah, it really is. So me, like within myself, I'm quite a spiritual kind of person, so I believe anyone's got energy and kinetic energy, and you can connect in that within anyone. So once I hit the streets and you meet certain people who are on the streets, and there's all kinds of people, I started learning little things about my family that I never knew before, like from mum's side and dad's side, and little things about my pops that I didn't know when I've never met them. I learned about things, so it helped me grow, because the questions I always had when I was growing up and still working, but my family pretty close tight, never really talked about things. So it was great for me to experience that on the street, and it helped me grow. But I met some people that were all about growing within themselves, and letting go and stop being selfish to themselves by holding on to things. And just by sitting here and just sort of watching people and talking to them going by, I was able to let go by a lot of stuff within me that I would have never let go of if I had hit the streets. Because once you're sitting down here on the streets, you can see it in a different angle where you're looking up to everyone. But the thing is, the sun comes up and goes down every day. And where you're sitting, you get to see that for free. So those kind of things changed my mind, that I always had to work and run for the money and all of that, where on the streets, everything was free. Okay, it took me a long time to realise everything was free, but it's free because of a lot of good people and a lot of good things.
When did you get off drugs?
No, so still using.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think the only day that I can say that I'll never use drugs is the day I die. Yeah.
Okay, so you use every day?
Not every day. I try to be really honest when it comes to drugs. So let's say I used to use 14 points, which is say 14 units, so about 2 grams. About 4 hours I'd smoked that to myself.
Okay, so you still use today?
Methamphetamine, yeah. I'd be lucky to use maybe 2 units a week when I do use. It's something that I will stop eventually, but I don't want to lie and say I'm going to stop it and then let a lot of people down. You know?
Are you getting help for it?
I've got an AOD that I work with.
And
an AOD worker that I work with.
AOD.
So alcohol and other drugs, like a counsellor. But I'm doing some therapy work with a psychiatrist at the moment, and that's something that we're diving into by am I using the drugs or the drugs using me? You know, why am I using? I'm using very minimal amounts. Why do I hold on to that last bit? What is it that I'm holding on to? Continue using it because I'm not getting the same kick that I used to get.
What are your prospects, Peter, for the near future?
Prospects? When I was 10 years old, I was with my father and a friend, and they asked me, what do you want to be when you're older? And I was 10. I said, I want to learn Chinese, wear a suit, and work in a big building. So I've come up with a few concepts to do with solar panels, and solar panels that wrap around cars like signage and whatnot, so a car can charge itself. So hopefully end up somewhere in Asia, you know, in a boardroom talking about business things and whatnot, and get back into that lifestyle. But doing it on very, very different terms and ideas, and the way I approach it to what I used to without being on the streets.
You sound very cogent and very educated. I'm not sensing the effect of, is it meth that you're using now?
Yeah, I was using methamphetamine and a little bit of marijuana.
Right, and that's today, yeah?
Yeah, I had a little bit earlier this morning, but not very much, just a little bit. But now this is normally what I'm like most of the time.
Yeah, I was going. Well, how are you so lucid?
It's just how I've been, you know. I've let go of all those barriers that hold people back within being themselves. So that's what I've learned on the streets, and I've learned that the hard way.
Okay. And what about schooling? Did you do a lot of school?
Finished year 12, attended university for a little bit.
Oh, what did you do there?
Hospitality management and tourism.
Okay.
But I was out the window. I didn't want to be in the uni, so when HEX came around, I said, right, I'll pull out. So one day I might go back to it and sort of, I'm thinking maybe looking into international law or something like that, maybe one of the unis. But I suffer from disabilities as well, so I've got like learning and reading and spelling disabilities. So,
you?
Yeah.
So what's that, dyslexia? What is that?
It's like dyslexia, but it's also autism as well, and we're mixed in there. So it's a bit of a mixed bag, so I learn it in a different way, at a different pace. But,
and Peter, do you still get support from your friends?
My friends, I've made new friends on the street, and we support each other in our homeless kind of way, how we do it. But I haven't really talked to many of my old mates. I'm a bit scared to go back and talk to them, you know, because other people might be watching me, watching them, and it's something that I've decided to stay away from. Okay,
now Peter, where are you going to sleep tonight?
So I'm very, very lucky. I found out that there's a refuge for men with a spare room, so I was able to get a room there down opposite the Royal Children's Hospital. So very, very happy for that, because I'm used to sleeping on the ground with a bottle behind my neck, sleeping on the concrete. So,
right. So I'm just going to go there again, go do with the hand again.
Sleeping on the concrete like that.
Okay.
But like I was saying, we're going to stay tonight, but back to something we said before, what's worked for me in the street is that realising that in my right hand I've got nothing, there's nothing in it, but it's got the wealth of the world in it. And that's what I've understood from being on the streets.
How do people treat you, Peter?
Exactly how they are, just walk past.
Yeah?
A lot of the girls look at me and say hello, which isn't a bad thing, but...
You had a person just before gave you, what did she give you? She gave you a can of Coke and some chips.
Yeah, and that's great, you know, that's what we asked for. You know?
Yeah. Does that happen often? I mean, are people generally nice to you, or do they ever abuse you?
It takes a while to warm up to it, so it's almost like the street has to get a warm feeling from you, and it spreads through them. So the more positive energy that I'm throwing out, the more positive energy I'll get back. So.
Now, Peter, it's going to be a pretty cold winter. Winters are normally cold, but this one's expected to be quite terrible. How are you going to be this winter?
Well, I'll be very fortunate that I'm still in a long-term room at the men's refuge where I am. So,
Okay, there's the one opposite the Royal Children's?
yeah, correct.
Okay,
yeah.
good.
So I'll have a room there as long as I don't stuff up with too many rules. Thank you so much, appreciate it.
Thank you, mate.
As long as I don't stuff up with too many rules, I should be alright to stay there. But it's going to be a very cold winter, and it makes me think I was talking to an Irishman that I bumped into one day from Ireland. He said at Christmas time, 10% of the population of homeless people go to disappear. It's so cold in the night. So it's very interesting to say that because it happens in Australia too. But I hear that the government put $10 billion into a housing fund for homeless people and ex-vets as well. So,
do you get any income from the government?
Yeah, I get my centre look from the government.
Okay.
Where I'm staying, it takes about 3/4 off my pension that I receive.
It takes
3/4 for rent and 3 meals a day.
Well, how does that leave you?
It lives with a couple $100, you know. And me, every payday when it comes, I'll go do little special things that I do. I try to get out to Box Hill every fortnight just to go out there and have a look. It's a really special place.
Did that guy just give you $20?
Yeah, I was stoked today. Yeah.
That's how often does that happen?
You might get that like once a week. Someone might chuck you a 20 or a 50.
Okay.
It's fantastic from there too.
And what do you do with the money?
Me? It all depends. What I do is I try to put $10 aside so I can get a little bit of marijuana. I'm a musician, so that way I can have a bit of smoke and play, and it calms me down. Apart from that, it's special things for me when I'm going around. If I want to go buy some candles for home, or if I want to go out for a meal, the things that can really help. So that's why you're so appreciative when they do a thing like that.
Now you've got a notebook down here.
Yeah, sure.
Notebook down there. What's that for, Peter?
So I'm a creative writer as well. I do lots of writing.
Yeah.
So I often write about the streets and what I see and what I feel, and then sort of say what would it taste like, what would it smell like, and describe my surroundings to myself. But also I'll imagine that I'm talking to someone and doing an interview myself. You know?
Yeah.
Like imagine I'm with Oprah and having a conversation with her. I'll be writing it down just to amuse myself.
Okay.
Be a creative writer, I'd be lost without it. It's almost like journaling.
Okay. Okay, well, mate, listen, thank you very much. I'm going to take another shot of your notepad there. And I feel very, very bad that I think your chips have cooled down a bit since we started talking. So I'll try to make up for that.
What had this thing for this?
Did you already in? Yeah.
Are you normally in this spot? Where do you move around?
Walking through here, but I'm normally down the 7-Eleven and down that way. So near Little Burke or Chinatown.
Yeah?
Yeah, so I'm down there a fair bit. Because I'm a big guy, you know, like a lot of the people feel safer when I'm around for some reason.
Okay. Yeah, what's your relationship like with the other homeless people?
We all get along in our little way, you know. We have our little qualms when we have them, but the one thing that we're trying to do is work out what we're doing with ourselves.
Okay, so you are in accommodation at the moment?
I am now, thank God. Yeah,
okay, how long have you been there?
I've been in this one for about a month, and the one before was there for about 2 months. I've been off the street for about 3 months now.
Okay, what's the prospects like of you staying there?
Where I am is long term, the one I'm in, so I've got about another 4 months, 5 months to go where I am.
Okay.
And then I'm applying to get on the NDIS as well. So hopefully I get some public housing, NDIS comes on, and then it's really good things moving forward.